So then, we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yirmiyahu the prophet, we find then the precise layer where the spring feast, the autumn feast, are at. Then we find also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste from many centuries in chapter 1:8. And then analyzing what's going on in the world as far as what China is doing. China leads during this time. China has 57% of the world's trade by itself. And China has come up with their own credit card as far as related with the new system. There was a very important article of the company coming up with a very own Chinese credit card that can be used worldwide. But what is coming then next, as far as we can understand, regarding then the Silk Road, was a very ancient route of trade of old. And as we read then, China is obviously working to get this new system going. What is the importance and then of the nations of spending in infrastructure? Truly, every country they have its own problems. But then, if nations are not ready for the new system of China, when it comes, it's going to be pure chaos. Because the new system of China requires then obviously ports and airports being updated. Most importantly then ports, because people are going to start purchasing much more online, and then they have to have these packages delivered. We are during a time where then governments, they don't have any more than the luxuries of printing money as festivals. They have to have some sort of control of what they spend, because the new system of China requires transactions. Every time money is taken out of the government, they must specify where it's going, thus then preventing thieves from stealing from these countries. These, however, then combined with the new Alipay, for instance, a system of payment of Alibaba systems, the Chinese system, as it was then, I said many times before, the Chinese system is coming, the Chinese system is coming, and the Chinese system is coming, more than a couple of years ago. And it did. The only situation is pending at the moment is linking up the nations and then the system of investment directly on products. When these becomes available, then people, they send and receive money via the same line. What people don't understand at this moment is this: the Chinese system is not linked with the central bank per se. If you analyze the great work of China, is linking up computers with their own banking. And depending on what kind of monetary system you use, some of them are linked with central banks and quite a few of them are not. Explaining in such a simple way, when do you have then a system of your own where then the world doesn't have? You would have to have a secret of linking up computers with a computer system only, where then your financial system is then given to every person. What the people don't understand at the moment is this: China has its own system and it's exclusive. But as we are observing, Alibaba came up extremely strong and very strong at the moment, and nations, they won't be able to match of what China is doing. So then, as far as then the Chinese system, at the moment you can log on, you can buy products, you can then send money. When the new system becomes completed, then you can invest in the same page where you purchase or you send money. The problem is, then this system is not linked with the central bank. At the moment you understand it's linked because the investment icon is not available yet. So as from the perspective of technology, the situation is becoming a whole lot more simpler. Simpler at the moment because they understand a linkage with the system and central banks. But once then the icon of investment becomes available, then there is a new system that's going to be not linked with central banks. That's when the problem starts. So then, in order for us to understand this topic, what can we read from the Holy Instructions as far as Daniel the 12th chapter? He explains that knowledge in the future shall increase. What kind of increasing of knowledge is regarding trade? Because the concept of the entire understanding, the content is related with the trade. That's why then Daniel said, and then at the end of times knowledge shall increase, for precisely this topic. And then when it comes, nations won't be able to get the percentages that they are wishing for. For instance, a person goes to a country and starts doing trade via online using an outside source of payment. How are the nations going to charge for taxes? That's the point of the whole situation. For instance, if you buy with Bitcoin, you can purchase Bitcoin, you can pay with Bitcoin. Some nations you can purchase with this kind of a monetary system. How then, where the person is at, how the government is going to charge for taxes? If you think very thoroughly on the whole situation, you don't find a way of charging it. If a government does not have a precise system of taxation, then they will be able to charge for taxes. And China has yet a secret of a monetary system where it won't be linked with central banks. Surprise, but when it comes, it links instantly and then the work is on. As they purchase, they have to deliver those packages independently of what kind of monetary systems they are using. As we then are understanding more of knowledge shall increase, then we understand the importance of then returning to the Eastern way of doing trade. The West side, they have scandalized themselves and nearly bankrupt. The East, however, is leading the world. And interestingly, because what kind of a system then you would think China would then present in order to get exclusivity when the new system becomes available in its 100% and the investment icon available with it? How would you protect this icon of investment if you are linked with the central bank? You would have to have some sort of a policy of purchase, would you not? And since nations do not have these yet, what do you think then is coming in the future? There is a reason why, for instance, they are using telephones for payments. They are increasing then how fast these transactions can be made. Ultra fast systems of transactions. When the system becomes available with this icon of investment, they won't have time to work much of those details. They have to deliver those packages, and as the time it takes for them to deliver those packages without taxes being charged properly, you don't have to go very long to understand what's going to be at the ports when they must get the packages and deliver them. Then the governments have to print out more money to get those infrastructures going, while then at the same time trying to work some sort of a plan to link up with China. And this is what China obviously is on a hide at this moment. And then some say, oh, how can you work on a problem if it does not even exist? It does exist. The problem is people are not analyzing it properly. Pearl Harbor, for instance, in 41. There were very big signs then the Japanese were coming. They even had a radar available on the top of the mountain over there and did do its job. The problem is they interpreted wrongly. We have lots of data going on from this new system, but we are interpreting wrongly. We are trying to place this situation under the control from a system of 1,000 years of deceit, as if governments could control the system via what they can print. But the problem is they are not going to be using the money per se of the country trying to control its own expenses. They're going to use funding from elsewhere. That's the distinction. So then, with this in mind, as we read more articles of Alibaba, you can be sure of it, there is a line of understanding with the system becoming then mobile. You can do trade and transactions via your own telephone. Shortly after, then the icon of investment comes, and then you have then a system, for instance credit card, linked up with earnings from these systems, not linked with the central bank of the country per se, yet making earnings, big earnings, and making purchases without paying taxes. So then, next time I'm going to evaluate this situation more from the perspective of the articles and also the holy instructions. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.